Hello, sports fans all over the world and Rich Dad fans. This is now 2008, and it's time for the crystal ball, and we'll be doing our predictions and investment trends and how we see the future for 2008. So I'll start with my prediction. I predict by this time next year we'll have a new president. Now, there's two reasons I say that. Predictions are predictable. You know, it's not crystal ball stuff. A lot of it is called prognostication, you know, looking back throughout history, and you can see the future and things like this. But there's another reason I mentioned this thing about this election coming up. I don't know who's going to be president, and I think we have a very good, mediocre field to choose from. I'm not impressed with too many of them, but whoever gets it, gets it. The reason I mention that is there's a lot of people who are betting their hopes on whoever he or she is the president, that they'll save the middle class. And I don't think that's possible. And I think the middle class right now is toast for one reason, because there are forces far beyond the president or the Congress or government. There are global trends right now and technology trends, plus the change from the industrial age to the information age that is wiping out anybody who is still thinking in industrial age ideas. And in industrial age ideas, I'm going to save, secure job. I'm going to work hard. The company will take care of me. My medical will be caring of me. And then the government will take care of my medical and my financial problems. Those are industrial age ideas, and I'm afraid they're toast. They're gone. And there is no president, he or she, or Congress, or any government throughout the world that can prevent these extremely powerful trends sweeping the world right now. So that's why in this time, if you want to survive financially and medically, money is important. You know, as you all know, is that, anyway, my sister just had heart surgery, and the insurance company paid $72 towards a $20,000 bill.
Wow.
So now she's in debt to this, and I don't know how she's going to pay for it. She's calling me up, obviously. And I think people are out of touch with what's going on in the world. So these economic trends in 2008, they're not just crystal ball things. They're things I study. It's called prognostication, looking at the past and seeing the future trends. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So we have one of my dear friends and business partners, Ken McElroy, and my sweetheart, Kim, partner Kelly Ritchie, and as a special bonus, Mike Maloney, and we'll save him for last on gold and silver and the doom and gloom of all of this, okay? So I want to be clear on everybody, even if it sounds like doom and gloom, that is not the way I hold things. When things are bad, the rich get richer. When things are good, the rich get richer. So I think it's financial IQ, financial intelligence that's going to keep you alive, not he or she, whoever is elected president. Okay? So with that, Kenny, what do you see as far as real estate goes, and what are you doing differently or not differently this year?
Well, I think what's different now than certainly what was different a year ago, and it's in the news a lot, is, you know, the subprime mess, of course, which was very predictable. You know, when we were denying people to move into our apartments, as you know, and they were getting home loans, we knew that there was going to be a problem. So
what happened was people couldn't qualify to move into our apartments, but all these new mortgage brokers were getting them no doc, you know, nothing down loans. So we actually, prior to the subprime mess, Kenny, Kim, and our vacancies were increasing because these people who couldn't afford to pay rent were now buying houses.
Right. So we were losing renters to home buying, and that's always a trend that has been going on for a long, long time. But that's reversing now, of course, because one, people are being foreclosed on, and they're moving back into rentals, and the rates are creeping up a little bit, even though the prime rate might be low. The spreads are higher, as you know, which keep the rate high. And then the other thing is that the underwriting is a lot more strict. So we are starting to see higher occupancies in our projects. The interesting thing that's happening now is in the 80s and 90s, as you know, we had an excess capacity issue. So in other words, we had overbuilding, you know, and
there were too many apartment houses.
Right. Here, it's excess liquidity. It's excess. It's too much leverage. So it's a different issue. You know, before there was overbuilding. So what's going to happen, though, what's going to correct things are population and employment growth. So what we're doing is we're looking at the coastal states, the echo boomers, the baby boomers, where they're moving, where they're going. Immigration is a big thing, a lot of immigration. So though it's very, very predictable to figure out where everybody's moving to. And so that's where we're investing our dollars now. And then the other thing that's spinning the apartment business a little bit and commercial business certainly is the oil and the dollar. And oil just this week it topped over $100 a barrel. So what does that mean? What that means is that a lot of people now that are doing the 1 hour, 2 hour commutes that are just barely making it are now going to start looking for transportation, trains, light rail, buses and those kinds of things because it's starting to be expensive. So we're looking at places like Denver there's just now put it in light rail and Austin, and we're trying to buy properties along the rail lines because the dollar we don't think is going to recover anytime soon, and certainly oil I don't think it's going to come down anytime soon. And then the very last thing is we're starting to see a lot of foreign money come in, which I think Mike will talk a little bit more. But it's funny, I was talking to my friend who's building a heart hospital in Beijing, China, and he said they look at the U.S. like it's half price. That's basically
it is. And
the same thing with Canadians right now. They just think this is the best place on the planet.
That's pretty bad when the Canadian looks down on you. You know what I mean?
I know.
Right, Sully?
That's all we say in Canada.
So there's predictions that, believe it or not, Europe and Canada and some
Asia.
and Asia are going to pull us out of this housing crisis because there's going to be a lot of overseas investment and out of the country investment in real estate, which will correct itself.
Because we're cheap, because the dollar keeps dropping. Now it's bad for those who live here. A couple of points I want to clear up what Kenny says. Well, underwriting, what that means is during the 2005 to 2006, you could get 0 down. What they're doing now is requiring a 30% down. So that's going to bring real estate prices down even more. Because if it's more expensive to get in, then the price has to adjust to that cost of entry into the product that you're buying. That includes regular homes. There's another thing that a lot of people don't see is today there's over 2 billion houses being built, but they're not being built here. They're being built in Pakistan, India, China, and all this. So what that does, it drives up commodity prices. And so as you guys know, I've been in commodities for a long time, and I'm making fortunes right now in dry bulk shipping and in stocks and that, gold and silver. And that's what's happening is because the rest of the world is now becoming westernized. So if not only are there 2 billion houses being built today, there's also 2 billion new cars hitting the road, which keeps driving the price of oil up. So those people that are hoping that he or she who becomes president can save this, they can't do it. They can't do it. Now the good news is what Ken and I always talk about is what's the replacement cost of what we have today. So even if your house is losing value, its replacement cost is going up because of 2 billion people wanting to build new houses. So the cost keeps going up as the dollar keeps going down. So if you can afford to hang on to property, hang on to it. Because 5, 6 years from now, it'll look cheap again.
Well, finally, we've been preaching cash flow at Rich Dad forever, and people come to the events and then they don't do it.
The flippers show up.
Right, and so, this is the time where the flippers take a bath,
yeah.
Basically. I mean, this is, the Rich Dad message is most powerful now because these people are losing their homes and their rates are adjusting and they bought on market speculation as opposed to the economics of the property.
So as the prices come down, they're actually heading back up because of what's going on in the rest of the world with 2 billion people building houses, 2 billion people buying cars, things like this. So it's really a good time if you have the cash flow to handle the property. So the flippers are flopped, they're done. But those who can hang on through cash flow will do extremely well. So that's why it's a very good time. And throughout the world, there's still a boom going on because people want the lifestyle that the West has had for years.